Hey guys, got something cool to show you today. We've had this in our back pocket for a little while and we've finally released it, and it is basically dynamic previews or instant previews you can call them. So basically this is where it just speeds up your search even more, because if you compare this to like a standard library where you've got, you know, a static track, let's say we play this thing here, you know, it's just going to do its thing. Basically, kind of maybe starts with an intro, then it kind of has a build, maybe has a drop, maybe has a climax somewhere, etc., maybe an outro of some kind. But you'd have no shortcut to finding out what the particular kind of things are that you can access in that track. And if you're looking for something very specific, you may miss it because, you know, you haven't got time to listen to an entire track or make a decision based on just like a waveform preview, which, you know, other than the kind of, you know, relative kind of volume of the thing, doesn't really give you that much information. So what we've decided to do is basically hook it up to our slider. So the first thing you want to do is definitely play with the slider, because that will then switch on the dynamic preview and you can then play with the sliders, but you don't have to play with the sliders. What you can do now, as you can see here now, I'm playing the underscore. So this is basically the version of this track, Sun Up by Ollie Harper, which I think will work really, really well just to kind of like, you know, in the background of a video. It's not too obtrusive, it hasn't got too strong a beat, it isn't like climactically kind of like taking over the edit. It's just sitting there in the background. And then what we also have is like a build, for example. So this, clearly you can hear that's kind of going somewhere, it's ramping up. So that's the build. Now, after the build, there's obviously that really, really small gap. So if you were to do this in the actual, with the sliders, if I just play that again, you'll see why we've called it a build is because, you know, after the build, tiny little drop, but also you can just slam into the climax. So if I just play that for you over here. So it's going to start building now, basically, because it's obviously a whole phrase. Here we go. So if I now then take this over. Cool. And now if I just do the other bit, so for example, if I hit drop. And again, by drop, it's sometimes we mean not necessarily that actual literal drop after the build, for example, like a kind of break, but just a kind of you know, a kind of alternate mix that's kind of takes the back seat, has a kind of a really, really laid back vibe. And in other instances, it might be something different. It might be like a drum solo, or it might be something that's just sufficiently different and gives you that contrast that you need just to kind of have a drop section. And then the last one is climax. And there's one missing here, which we have, there's going to be always 4 maximum, but if I show you another track, this time let's do a cinematic one, and there's also one called bed, basically. So we have bed, underscore, and build and drop climax. So here, for example, on this one, we're playing the static track, as you can hear, actually. Yeah, so now I'm going to just go straight into the slider. I can either move a slider, which activates the, you know, which switches on to scoring sliders, or just go straight for these things. So now I'm playing the bed, which as it happens was the same sound pretty much as the static track, because it started with a very gentle intro, which was the bed as it happens. But if you want to know straight away what the underscore sounds like, well, we're just going to click this. Okay, so this is more of just a gentle kind of, you know, ethnic African sounding thing that can just work gently and unobtrusively in the background to video. The drop in this instance is going to be probably, yeah, it's that kind of really strong contrast. So this actually, as it happens, is a kind of percussion solo section. And you could also use it as a build. So they're sometimes synonymous. You might even see labels where it says build/drop. And then the climax, let's just try this as well. And you can, of course, just go ahead and just still mess around with these, because there's, you know, there are many, many more things in a piece of Filmstro music than there are instant previews. So while we're giving you these 4 to just kind of kickstart your creative exploration, you know, by all means, obviously, just play with the sliders yourself and see what else you can find. But these are a really good starting point, and at least it should hopefully speed up your discovery. That's what we've got them for. And yeah, hope this is useful. And until next time, happy editing.